This story was shared online by a man from Illinois, and according to him, it's the reason he no longer works night shifts. Back in 2021, he worked as a security guard for a small office building just outside Chicago. The building itself wasn't very large, only 4 floors. Most of the offices belonged to small companies that closed by around 6 p.m. His shift started at 11 at night and ended at 7 in the morning. Most nights were completely uneventful. He would walk through the floors every hour, check doors, watch security cameras, and spend the rest of the night sitting alone at the front desk. The building was always quiet after midnight, too quiet sometimes, but he got used to it, at least until one particular night in November. Around 1:15 a.m., he was sitting at the security desk scrolling through his phone when he heard something upstairs. Footsteps. Slow footsteps. At first, he assumed maybe one of the cleaning staff was still inside. It wasn't unusual for cleaners to stay late. But after checking the schedule, he realized something. There were no cleaners assigned that night. He looked at the security monitors. Every hallway appeared empty. Nothing moving. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, everything went quiet again. Then he heard them a second time, this time louder, directly above him on the second floor. He grabbed his flashlight and radio and headed upstairs. The second floor hallway was empty. The lights were dimmed automatically at night, making the entire floor look darker than usual. Rows of office doors lined both sides of the hallway, completely silent. He slowly walked down the corridor, checking each office. Everything was locked. Nothing looked disturbed. Then he heard it again, a single footstep. Behind him, he turned around immediately. Nobody there. The hallway was empty. He stood still for a few seconds, listening carefully. Nothing. Eventually, he convinced himself he was just imagining things. Maybe the building settling, old pipes, anything. He returned downstairs, but around 2 a.m., it happened again. This time the sound came from the 3rd floor, and it wasn't just footsteps anymore. It sounded like someone dragging something heavy across the floor. He checked the cameras again. Still nothing. Every hallway empty. No movement. That's when he noticed something strange. One of the cameras on the 3rd floor kept flickering. Every few seconds the image would distort slightly, like interference. He stared at the monitor, trying to figure out what was causing it. Then, for just one frame, he saw something standing at the end of the hallway. A person, tall, completely still. Before he could react, the image returned to normal. Empty hallway. He replayed the footage immediately. Nothing there, just static. He sat there staring at the monitor for almost a minute, trying to convince himself it was just camera distortion. But deep down, he knew he saw someone. A few minutes later, his radio suddenly made a loud burst of static. Then a voice came through. Very faint, almost whispering. "Hello." He grabbed the radio immediately. "Who's there?" No response, just static again. Then silence. At this point, he considered calling the police, but he knew how it would sound. A security guard hearing noises in an empty building. So instead, he decided to check the 3rd floor himself. The elevator ride up felt unusually slow. When the doors opened, the hallway was dark except for emergency lights near the floor. His flashlight barely illuminated the corridor ahead. And that's when he saw him. At the far end of the hallway, a man standing completely still. The security guard froze. The figure wasn't moving, didn't react to the flashlight, just standing there facing him. Too far away to make out details, but definitely a person. "Sir?" No response. "Building's closed." Still nothing. The man slowly started walking toward him. Not running, not aggressive, just slow, steady steps. The guard immediately backed toward the elevator, but when he pressed the button, nothing happened. The elevator wouldn't open. The footsteps continued getting closer. Slow, steady. The flashlight shook slightly in his hand. Then suddenly, the hallway lights flickered off. Complete darkness. For about 2 seconds, when the lights came back on, the hallway was empty. The man was gone. The guard immediately ran downstairs to the security office and locked the door. For the next hour, he watched the cameras carefully. Nothing appeared on any floor. Eventually, around 4 a.m., he started calming down. He even convinced himself maybe it had been a homeless person who somehow entered the building. That explanation made sense. At least more sense than anything else. Then around 4:30, motion detection alerts started appearing on the monitors, one after another.
Second floor, third floor, fourth floor, like someone was walking through the building triggering sensors. He switched through the camera feeds rapidly. Every hallway looked empty, except one, the fourth floor hallway. At the very end of the corridor stood the same man, perfectly still, facing directly toward the camera. The guard immediately called the police, but while waiting for them to arrive, something happened that he still can't explain. The figure on the monitor moved, not walking, not slowly. It suddenly appeared closer to the camera, like several seconds of footage had been skipped, then closer again, and again, until eventually the figure stood directly in front of the camera. The image distorted heavily. Static filled the screen. Then the monitor went black. Police arrived minutes later and searched the entire building. Nobody was found. No sign of forced entry, nothing missing. The security guard quit 2 days later, but according to him, the strangest part happened after he left. A week later, one of the officers contacted him. Apparently, while reviewing security footage, they noticed something the guard hadn't seen. At 1:14 a.m., 1 minute before the footsteps started, the security camera near the front entrance captured someone entering the building. The person walked directly past the camera, head lowered, face hidden, but according to the timestamp, the guard himself was already inside the building before that happened, meaning whoever entered couldn't have been him. And the creepiest part, the person entering the building was wearing the exact same security uniform he was wearing that night.